I'm going to go ahead and grab the long screws, and there's only a few left in here, so it's pretty obvious. These two that are left are all that we need. I'm a little bit unclear what needs to go where with these long screws. I guess that what you do is you put them through the front here with that, without a nut between this screw and the frame in the front. And I say that because in the next instruction, or in step 8, you can see that that screw is going to be flush with the front of the unit. So I'm guessing that this is the back of the unit here, the back of the front panel. I'm going to go ahead and put a nut at the back of each screw, at the back of the front panel, and then another nut at the base of each screw, as it says in the instructions. So I'm putting the screws through the front of the front panel. And take a nut, and add it to each one. It's a little bit more awkward than the way I would do it if I weren't showing what I was doing. There we go. Notice that nut there is keeping that screw in place while the other one falls out, so I'm going to go ahead and put a nut on the other one. Notice I didn't need a wrench for that, just used my fingers. I'm going to go ahead and put a nut on the other end of each screw. I'm guessing that's going to hold the back plate on from the inside, and there are other nuts to hold the back plate on from the outside. So obviously you're going to make sure that there's some length left between of those screws with the nuts so we can fit the back plate on there. That's the end of step 6. We're done with step 6 of our televisor assembly. We're going to go ahead and move on to step 7, which involves carefully placing the televisor disc with the holes in it onto the spindle of the motor. And remember, this is called, what is that term again? In the history, this is called a kip-pow disc. That's the one that had the holes in a type of spiral, or the transmitter had the holes in a spiral. It looks like the receiver disc also had them in a type of spiral. We'll see if it looks like a spiral. It's very subtle if it is. Step 7 says, carefully press the black televisor disc onto the motor spindle. So let's find our motor spindle. Move the front a little bit over to here. Remember, here's the back with the battery compartment on the back. So this must be the front of the unit. And our motor is here with the motor spindle right here. So there's our motor spindle. Carefully press the black televisor disc onto the motor spindle so that the tip of the spindle is flush with the surface of the serrated wheel. Make sure the serrated wheel faces toward the front of the televisor as shown. In other words, so this is going to be the back of the disc that faces toward the back here. I'm trying not to get my fingerprints all over it, and it is indeed a spiral. Hopefully you can see this. So the holes start, and they go in a spiral pattern. See how it starts up at the, see if we can find the top edge here, because it's very clearly a spiral when you get to where they meet here. So you can see up here that this hole is much higher than that hole, and that the holes actually do go in a spiral. That's pretty neat. Now what it says is to put the serrated edge here toward the front. I'm going to go ahead, fit that on to that spindle. This might take a minute here. I'm going to get my screwdriver out of the way so that I don't damage the disc. This is a little tricky here. There we go, there we go. Push it down with 2 fingers here. Push it down as much as I can without damaging other components. Let's see if that's flush. That's pretty flush. And you can see there, that's the spindle of the motor. And that's going to turn. And what that's going to do is spin this disc. That LED light is going to shine an image of white lights onto this plastic image screen here, and that wheel with the little holes in it is going to create lines and scan the image. We've finished step 7 of our televisor assembly. We're going to go ahead and move on to the last step of our assembly process, which is step 8, which is to attach the back plate to the front plate and to finally put on the sticker that tells us it's a televisor. Step 8 says, attach the back plate to the front plate by slotting the ends of the long screws through the holes in the back plate and screwing on 2 nuts. Finally, peel the backing off the sticker there and stick it to the front of the televisor. Let's go ahead and find 2 nuts. So it looks like there's 1 extra in the kit unless we forgot to put 1 on. Hopefully not. So here are 2 nuts. We're going to go ahead and place the back and the front together. Now, this lens is going to clearly go where that plastic screen is on that side. See that? There we go. Let's put this here and put the front plate. There's a hole for it in the back. And then on the other side, there's another hole where that's going to go into the back. And hopefully we can get this so that it actually stands up. Put this nut on this side. And make sure it's tight on the other side. And we're going to go ahead and put 1 on the other side. There we are. And hopefully that disc isn't too warped. I did drop it, so I'm hoping that it still works perfectly functionally. But you notice that we've put our televisor together, and I could probably even put it a little bit closer, make it a little bit so that it's a bit more stable, because it looked like it was actually not straight on one side. There we are, but it stands up. Tighten it with a screwdriver maybe. Yeah, that worked pretty well. And then go ahead and do that on the other side too. So I'm taking my screwdriver and I'm just going to hold the nut on this side. Now we do want to make sure that this wheel will turn still. It has freedom of movement, so I might want to actually unscrew this a little bit so that wheel has free movement. So it looks like it's a little close now. Maybe on the other side too. Go ahead and unscrew that a little bit. those nuts up. Just so that the wheel moves freely. It looks like it's a little bit warped right now, so we may have to fiddle with that a little bit. Once I put the sticker on, I'll peel that sticker off. There we go. Once we put this on the front, looks like you might want to cut this portion off so that it looks a bit neater. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I've taken scissors and I've cut the televisor sticker so it looks a bit more like what it looks like on the front plate. I'm going to go ahead and peel the sticker off, the backing again. Who knew? Of all the components and all the parts of this build, getting the sticker off the backing once I cut it down to look more like this was going to be the longest part. I had to cut the camera. But anyway, we've got the televisor sticker. I'm going to go ahead and peel the backing off, which was trickier because I actually cut the sticker to the correct shape so that it would fit into the frame here. Peel it off. And I had to put the backing back on it to cut it so it wouldn't get stuck on the scissors. There we go. And you can actually see a faint outline of where it's supposed to go on here. I'm going to go ahead and line it up with that. There we go. There you have it. A completed televisor kit with the sticker in front, the lens in place, the disc so that it will spin freely, and we still may need to loosen the back and the front from each other. The image screen, plastic image screen, the LED light that will create the image, our adjustment controllers that we can easily access, the motor on-off switch, the battery component on-off switch here, and